and happy Monday. Dan Kasper Show is on the air. Radio dials, two of those. Hit us up, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online, sportstalk1051.com, where you have the link for the YouTube stream. That's also up and rolling. You can stream it there. You can listen on your Sports Talk app, Google and Alexa home devices, all that good stuff. Hopefully you had a fantastic weekend and you're ready to hit it up here for another brand new work week. Well, Brewers fans, how you feeling now? How you feeling after what you witnessed this past weekend, losing the series against the Cincinnati Reds? Looking at the division standings right now, Brewers are two back from the Cardinals, who had a fantastic weekend taking it to the Yankees there. But how are you feeling about your Milwaukee Brewers? We've got 54 games left to go in the regular season. Big time part of the schedule coming up for the Brew Crew. Off day today. 2 games against Tampa at home. Then they're on the road for 3 games weekend series against the Cardinals. Then road trip for 4 games against the red hot Dodgers. Red hot Dodgers. What, won 30 of their last 35? I think I heard this morning. Oh, and then you got to play the Dodgers again after the following week there too. So, here we go. Here's the week. Here's the next couple weeks that we've been kind of eyeing up for the past few days. Been talking about it. You know, in terms of let's go about this way. Let's try to have a little fun with this. In terms of steak doneness, okay, rare, blue rare, medium, well done. How would you describe the Brewers right now? Best answers. You're gonna get $50 in gas from River Country Co-op. Okay, I'm gonna hand that out. So best answers. You can hit me up with some text, some tweets, or some Facebook. But in terms of this Milwaukee Brewers team now, how you're looking at it, what you've seen, how they're trending, what's going through your mind right now? How would you describe it? We've had a few of you over the weekend kind of using our texting line as a little bit of a vent line, if you will. That's fine. That's good. Yeah, go for it. But now I want to hear from you again. So in terms of like a little steak doneness, how are you kind of referring, or how would you describe this Brewers team? Maybe you're at the, because I was thinking like, do we want to do a little glass half full, glass half empty approach? Well, yeah, no. Let's change it up. Try to make it a little bit fun here. So, are they like maybe so well done, you got to put a little A1, got to put a little steak sauce on there to put it down your gullet? Or maybe you're the opposite end. You're like, blue rare, plenty of time. You know what? It just got off the cow. Still good. So, I've got some thoughts. We'll hit that up coming up here in just a skosh, just a few minutes here on the Wisconsin Credit Union opening drive to kick things off this morning. We'll chat a little football. It's yesterday for anybody who maybe isn't the biggest fan of football, but yesterday was your last Sunday in terms of the pro football world and the college football world, where we won't have a football game on until February. We made it. We're here. We're getting there. So, but that also means fall and winter and all that stuff's approaching too. But we get football. Let's look at the positive side of things. So Friday night we saw family nights. I saw a few of you, when I was asking all week, anybody going? And a pretty quiet one. I saw a few of you posting some stuff up on the socials that you were there. So, but we had that. Packers doing a little inside work at the Don Hudson Center yesterday because of some weather. But I'm going to do a little bit of I know on Fridays on Wednesdays, we usually do a little stock report, right? Stock report, who's rising, who's falling. But I want to do a little different version regarding the Packers, because there's a couple people that are not named Romeo Dubs who have had a pretty solid last few practices, last couple practices, according to the reports and some of the player comments and all that good stuff. So we'll take a look at that. Whose maybe stock is trending upward a little bit here for the Packers, and we got the first preseason game coming up this Friday, going up against the 49ers in San Fran. Uh, doesn't sound like anything serious with Darnell Savage. He, in case you missed it, Friday night, family night, pulled up with a little little hamstring injury there. But he wasn't too concerned about it. And Matt LaFleur saying yesterday, no concern there. Rob Domofsky reporting the same thing. So I wouldn't expect Darnell Savage to be doing a whole lot. Probably not even playing in the preseason game, but the fact that no long term and they're kind of like, good. That's awesome. It's a big year for Darnell Savage too. There's no doubt about it. I know, Packers picked up the 5th-year option and such, but it's still a pretty big year for Darnell Savage to kind of go out there and like, all right, that's why they picked me in the first round. He's shown glimpses. I don't want to say he's been a bust at all. He's not been a bust, but maybe a little bit of inconsistency here or there. I mean, we could go back to the Ravens game last year, right, where he struggled a little bit in coverage, made some plays in the back end, kind of playing a little center field at that safety spot. So I think the big thing that we're all looking for and maybe the Packers are looking for is just some consistency when it comes to number 26 back there. Number 26 in your program guides, starting safety for the green and gold. So we'll hit that up. Do a little Monday morning armchair quarterbacking, probably coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. But your studs and duds from the weekend, hit us up. Studs and duds, who's made your list? Got a feeling probably a lot of people might be putting a little Brewers action on the studs and duds list right there. So, if you got anything else, if you want to, I don't know, maybe want to change it up a skosh, you can do that. If you got something else besides the good old Brewers there, okay? But don't forget, we're still looking for a few more. I'm just going to get this out of the way right now in case we've got some listeners that can only check out in the first hour. So we started up another fantasy football league. We still need a few more people to sign up for teams. So if you want that link, you want to join one of our leagues, you want to join the community that is, well, our awesome listeners right now. What are we going to call you all? Need a name yet. But you want to join up with a little fantasy football, it's free, it's for fun. We're going to be giving away some stuff throughout the season with that. We'll work on that. But hit me up with a text, okay, with your email, and I will send you the link to register for your fantasy football team in one of our few leagues out there. All right, so do it up. We just need a few more to complete the third league we've got. And if we get an influx of people saying, I want in that thing, well, maybe we might have to put up another fourth league over there, right? Might have to put up another fourth one up there. So, but let's, another fourth one. That made a whole lot of sense. We'll have to put a fourth one there. Let's get things rolling here on this Monday morning. Chatting a little baseball. Brewers baseball, that is. Brewers dropping the series against the Reds. So, I mean, after the trade deadline, the Brewers losing to the Pirates, losing to the Reds, after coming off the All-Star break, playing some good baseball. Taking care of business against Colorado. Taking 3 out of 4, sweeping the 20s in 2 games. Taking care of business against Boston, taking 2 out of 3. But a day that people or Brewers fans will take a look at maybe August 1st, August 2nd. So August 1st was the off day. The Hader trade, August 2nd trade deadline. Not a whole lot of movement from the Brewers. But looking at the first couple of days of August, since then, The Brew Crew have just won one game. That's it. One game. And now we got a tough couple of weeks coming up here. With just 54 games left to go in the regular season, you've got a 2-game series against Tampa, 3 games against the Cardinals, 7 games against the scorching hot Dodgers. You finish up the month against the Cubbies in Pittsburgh. Then we already roll into the final month and change because it squeaks into or leaks into a little bit into October there. But whew, in terms of steak doneness, now you got the blue rare, the rarest of the rare, or maybe you're like, nah, just right off the cow that's so. We're good yet. Plenty of time. Or maybe you're like, you're so well done, stick a fork in them, but you're going to have to put a little steak sauce on that baby to get it down your throat. They're done. Well done. Anybody at that level yet when it comes to the Brewers? Anybody? Anybody? Brewers now 2 back from those Cardinals after the Cardinals had an epic weekend against the Yankees of New York. Cardinals sitting there at 60-48. Brewers 58-50. Kind of thought, okay, Brewers can make up some ground, maybe put up a game or 2 lead in the division with this weekend, with the Brewers going up against the Reds and the Cardinals going up against the mighty Yankees. Nope. Wasn't the case. Not at all. And if you're doing a little bit of scoreboard watching, Cardinals taking on the Rockies for that series against the Brew Crew. So where are you at with this Brewers team? All right. Let me know. Start hitting me up with some texts. 715-830-1912. Best answer in terms of the steak doneness comparison, you're going to get $50 from River Country Co-op. Best answer. Okay. So text it on over. Let's jump into it. Let's get things rolling this morning. Coming up on that Wisconsin Credit Union opening drive. We'll talk some Brewers baseball. How you feeling, Brewers fans? Especially with the next couple weeks coming up. Let's talk about it after these quick words.
Got a take on today's topics but can't call in? Then hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or the text line and let your fingers do the talking.
It's the dog days of summer right now, and maybe you've been spending some extra time indoors to beat the heat. While you've been doing that, though, has your mind begun to wander? Are you coming up with different ideas for of getting into the home stretch here. August 26th, we've got the second annual Kasper Classic coming up, Princeton Valley Golf Course. If you haven't gotten your team in yet, what the heck are you waiting for? $90 per team. Just give Princeton Valley Golf Course a call, 715-834-3334. That $90 includes 9 holes, cart, 6 free drink tickets, food. We got Hy-Vee coming aboard there too, so get some damn good burgers on the docket right there. But 2 tee times. We got a 10:30 a.m. shift and a 1 o'clock p.m. shift. So if you got to do a little work in the morning, well, you can get out for that afternoon shift, right? Or maybe you're taking a whole day off and you're going to go 10:30, or maybe you got to go back to work. Hey, we got a couple of different options out there for you. Proceeds benefiting Backyard Dreams. So let's get this. Let's raise a lot of money for a good cause, okay? And big thanks to a lot of our partners out there already. Again, shout out to Clay from Service Master with the awesome Packers golf bag. That's going to draw a lot of attention right there too. So, but yeah, hit us up if you're interested in helping out. Maybe doing a little whole sponsorship, or I don't know, getting a team in, or donation for raffles. Hit me up, okay? All going to good cause for the kiddos out there. All right, let's get things rolling here this morning on the Wisconsin Credit Union opening drive. A couple of texts here. I'm so glad our bullpen has improved since dumping an all-star closer. Not sure what who that was, but that's a text from the texting line there. More living a dream, Jeff. Morning, Dan. As far as the Brewers right now, they can't even find the grill. G-Man, the ever-optimistic G-Man right now, going with the Brewers will win the next 2 series. It will be awesome. Surveyor Sam, morning DK. I don't know anyone can be anyone near medium rare, let alone well done. We have plenty of time to catch up. The team the team got rocked, got punched, knocked down, whatever you want to use, but they can either choose to stay down and cry or get back up and win these darn games. Win these damn games. So got a little optimism from Surveyor. Sounds like. Anybody else as optimistic, maybe as Surveyor or G-Man? Or maybe you're on the other side, kind of like living a dream Jeff there. What do you think? Okay. Using those stake doneness terms. Best answer, you're going to get $50 in gas from River Country Co-op. Okay. By the way, how do you guys like your steaks? Or what's the majority? Where are we going to go at with this thing? A little medium rare? I mean, what do you like on there? All right. And your favorite cut, too. We had a little, we fired up the charcoal grill last night and put on some ribeyes from Hy-Vee. So kind of got the steak mindset here this morning. But yeah, Brewers over the weekend dropping the series against the Reds. When you look at some of the comments from Council and some of the players, Corbin Burns yesterday was on the mound. He had this to say after the game. It's the easy route to make excuses for the way we played this last weekend and blame it on someone else. But we've got to point the fingers at ourselves here. Get back on track. Play better baseball. He went on to say, I think we've got better baseball to play. It's easy to say we're a first-place team, and we are a first-place team, and the Reds are scuffling. We should go out, and we should win the baseball game. That's not how baseball goes. You still got to play good baseball and get after it. Part of being a first-place team is everyone wants to beat you. The Pirates played a tough series against us. The Reds played a tough series against us. I don't think any of us in here are happy with how we're playing. We all know that there's better baseball to be played. But that's just part of a long season. Fortunately, it's early August, so we have plenty of time to turn it around. Hunter Renfro saying that I think that is all behind us. The guys we've gotten a lot of confidence in those guys to go out there and perform every day. I think Hader obviously was a lifeblood of the team. He did a great job for us for a long time. It's one of those things where You lose a closer like that, it's going to be tough for you for a little bit. But I think Devin's got the stuff that he can come out there, step forward, and do what he needs to do. I think everybody in this clubhouse believes that. Correct, Council. We didn't have a good week, but we have to look forward because we have a lot of baseball left. The season is going to throw you things that you don't like. We know that. It's our job to respond to it and to bounce back from it and look forward to a fun 54 games and look forward to the challenge of trying to do that. So, ever since that trade deadline and the moves that were made by the Brewer Crew, there has been and continues to be some scrutiny directed at various people, correct counsel, to some part, David Stearns especially, and Mark Anasio, the owner. Well, we heard from Mark Anasio on Friday. He talked a little bit to the media and gave his thoughts here. So I'm going to play a little bit of it because there has been some criticism directed towards Mark, and is it Brewers not spending enough? They don't have money. Is he trying to save some of that? What just there's been some criticism directed at him. So I want to play a little bit audio courtesy from Adam McCalvey, Brewers.com. This was from Mark back on Friday night talking about the Josh Hader trade, and he did address some of the notions out there that they don't want to spend money. They don't have money to spend. And I want your thoughts on it because there's some people saying, "Oh, is he not happy with David Stearns or what?" But here's we'll just hear from Brewers owner Mark Anasio.
So, one of the things the 18 seasons in the game has taught me is you never know what's going to happen. Some of which is really positive surprise, some of which can be painful. Obviously, but we get very close to the players in the community here, and that's one of the great things about being in Milwaukee. I remembered very first, I guess we had Carlos Lee for 2 years maybe, and then we made a midseason trade, and Journal Sentinel cover major types of so long slugger, and it's painful because we all. Obviously, all of us at the team and all of us in the community get attached to the players. So, last several years here, one of the guys we all got quite attached to was Josh Hader. And we get a call from David Stearns and Matt Arnold saying, they have something we want to do with Josh. I actually sat down. So, it's interesting. My first many years here, which I think has continued to this day, I was criticized that I stuck my nose in too much, and so now maybe I'd be criticized for not sticking my nose in enough because how I feel as a fan and how the fans feel to let Josh go versus guys who need to do their job. They've done a terrific job here. They made a move they wanted to make, and they hope to make other moves. So, I know those guys, David anyway, talked to you guys about it. So, I don't think in David's tenure anyway, I don't think I've vetoed anything in either direction that he's wanted to do. So, as an owner, accountability, responsibility, but, now it's hands off and David runs the Baseball Op Show.
Mark, one of the, I think, common criticisms is this is seen as, instead of going for the World Series, seen as somehow a cost-cutting move. And I'm wondering, how would you respond to that criticism?
So those are two different questions, actually. I can answer the cost-cutting had absolutely nothing to do with this. There was no money came out of the trade, and every player that was available, we had the resources to pick up, not only for the balance of this season, but for the seasons of their contract. Whether a team like ours has the financial resources to give Josh a long-term contract, which may be the biggest free agent contract a reliever will ever get. Or we all know Juan Soto's numbers. We're not talking about that, but to get a premier player, this team has the financial resources to do that, and so financial dollars didn't come into the mix at all. And in that or in any trade that we weren't able to get done, it wasn't about the money.
I'm sorry to comment here. Can I just follow up on the first half of that then? Is on the surface, trading Josh Hader doesn't square with trying to win a World Series. That's another, I think, common criticism of this deal.
Yeah, I think that you have to ask David about, and maybe you did, or if you didn't, you should. Because I know he also had a series of other trades that he wanted to do that didn't happen, and you just have to ask him about that. Because we're here. By the way, every presentation, I'm just saying, every presentation, because they know my focus. Every presentation that I get at the start of let's say, winter season is the goal of winning World Series. That's the goal.
That's actually what I was going to ask, because that seems to be the biggest complaint right now from fans. All they care about is getting the playoffs, getting the World Series. Doesn't matter. Does it bother you to hear someone suggest that?
Look, I think, first of all, the fans, I love that the fans are so passionate. I love the fact that when I got here, we're celebrating a team tonight. And when I got here in 2005, from 1982 to 2005, what is that? 23 years we had not been to the playoffs. But all we wanted to do was get to the playoffs. And I love that the bar's been raised so much higher. But, it stings. It still stings that we didn't get past Game 7 against the Dodgers. Things that happened the last couple of years in the playoffs sting. We still talk about them all the time.
Mark, can you clarify? You actually picked up salary with these trades that you made, right?
Yeah, David can go through the math. Yes, and there was no any player, or I guess you could have put a group of players together. And David can comment on that. But there was no budget problems even with Juan Soto. So,
really, do you guys seriously have talks about?
You have to ask David about those trades. I think you can see the prospects they took back in that. So I think where we had failed, we didn't have matches, as David would call it, on trades. My understanding, it was over the prospects. And you may say, well, that's not consistent with. You have to ask him. He made all. They had the. It's like running a war room like they do for a draft.
So that's just a little bit there, but kind of some interesting things from Mark Anastasio, Brewers owner. Again, audio courtesy Brewers.com. But a couple things. One, he did say that no, this wasn't cost cutting. There's no issues with the budget. They've got money to add players. Either for this year or even for next year. And he kind of threw out the notion that did the Brewers actually have conversations with the Nationals about Juan Soto too? I mean, he talked a little bit, and you could hear one of the reporters kind of follow up there and said, did you guys really have conversations? And Mark Anastasio kind of said that it just fell apart with the prospect package there. In terms of, maybe the Brewers didn't want to give up as many prospects as what the Padres did for Juan Soto. So you hear Mark Anastasio say that it was not financially driven. It wasn't cost cutting. We have money to spend. To me, it sounds like that's an owner that's like, I want to spend some money. Let's do this. I've got money to spend now. He could be saying that out in public, and maybe it's a little bit different, behind closed doors. But you did hear a few times in there too from Mark. Ask David. Got to ask David. Ask David. And I kind of threw that in there quite a bit, right? But I don't know. The couple things that kind of stood out to me was the fact that he did admit that, yeah, we've got money. It wasn't a financially driven thing. And if you have it, it's a video too, so you can watch it and you can kind of, maybe a lot of people are saying that Mark doesn't seem too happy. That he seemed like he wasn't happy in his responses, or maybe he's not. How you can tell in the video, he's not happy. But I don't know. It's kind of the body language thing again, right? So Brewers, again, Adam McCulvey did speak with David Stearns about the fallout from the Josh Hader trade and addressed as much of the backlash from fans. And his response to the criticism that reflected the Brewers are being cheap, David Stearns said, with the addition of Trevor Rosenthal, the payroll went up. And look, we had additional payroll flexibility to make moves. We were engaged with a number of players the day before the deadline and the day of the deadline that had we been able to pull off a deal, our payroll would have gone up even further. And ultimately, we didn't make those deals because I made a decision that the talent asked was too high. But we had payroll flexibility to do so if we had deemed a talent ask appropriate. Went on to say, I think history has taught us that oftentimes there is additional leverage created by a trade deadline midseason where there is scarcity of supply, particularly for players like Josh, and sometimes that scarcity may not exist in the offseason. So kind of my guess is that he's referring that he didn't think they would get the type of package that they got from Josh Hader. He didn't, at least right now, he doesn't believe he would have gotten that same type of package in the offseason. That's what I took away from that. He went on to say that I proactively reached out to a number of players on the day we made the trade and then the day after to make sure that they knew they had a path to talk to me if they wanted. Look, I want our players to be focused on winning games at the major league level every single day. I want our players' priority to be win now, win today at the major league level. That is their jobs. So when they see a move where a very good player is no longer on the team and a player that a lot of them had very close relationships to, I think it is very natural to have some surprise and in some cases some disappointment. And that's what we felt and that's what we saw. I think from what I've heard from our players also trust this organization, believe in this organization, and understand that any move we make, even a really challenging move, is going to have the best interest in mind for the organization. All right. So there you have it. David Stearns addressing some of the criticism, Mark Anasio answering questions, addressing some of the criticism that is it a cost-saving type of move for the Brewers? Things I take away from that is, no, Mark Anasio's got money to spend, and I know that he's come under a lot of flack, if you will, but he sure sounds like he's an owner that is willing to spend money. But at the same time, I'm sure he probably does have a budget in place, and he's communicated with that with David Stearns, and he's really just entrusting David Stearns to do all the baseball moves. He's handling it like he mentioned at the beginning of the clip. We said that he doesn't put his nose, or he tries at least to not put his nose into baseball operations. We've seen the good and the bad of that coming from owners, right? And all in different sports. We've seen that at different levels. Sometimes they're good. Sometimes it works out. Other times it's had drastic effects. We've seen it at every level, and it's played out different ways. We've seen owners get way too involved in baseball decision making that maybe they shouldn't be, or sports decision making in terms of like rosters that maybe they shouldn't be. And it's had effect on their teams. Or some owners have found that perfect balance of being a fan / owner and then also helping out with, rosters and that sort of thing. But I came away from hearing Mark that he doesn't want to be a micromanager, that he doesn't want to be an owner that, is just kind of overlooking the shoulder of his front office. He doesn't want to be that type. He wants to trust his staff. He wants to trust his front office and all that stuff. But at some point, we have to move on from this, right? I mean, we have to move on from the Josh Hader thing. It's going to be talked about as long as, for the rest of the season and however long it gets played out or however the Brewers finish this season, it's going to be talked about at certain points. It's being heightened more because of what the Brewers are doing right now in the field, losing a bunch of games. The talk is obviously heightened. The spotlight is on it a whole lot more because of what the Brewers are doing. If the Brewers have gone out there and won series against the Pirates and the Reds, maybe it's not talked about as much, and maybe we're already past it, and we're looking ahead to this, few weeks of games coming up here against Tampa and the Dodgers and that sort of thing. But because of how the Brewers have performed since that move and since the trade deadline, yes, it's been heightened a whole lot more. When you kind of look at, trying to find out some of the, since the trade deadline, Brewers relievers are 0-3 while allowing 24 hits and 15 runs, 11 of them earned, and 20 and a third innings. Those are the numbers right now. So, in terms of stake doneness, where are the Brewers at for you? Blue rare, or maybe cutting a slab off the cow, not even close to being done, or maybe so well done, you've got the charcoal burns and it's burnt and it's a little tough to cut into. It's dry. Done. Best answers. Text those on over. You're going to get some gas. Okay? River Country Co-op. We got to take a quick break. But also your thoughts from what you heard from Brewers owner Mark Ananasio. Your thoughts. Let me know. We'll be back after these words.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
Hi, this is Matt LePay, voice of Badgers football and basketball. At this very moment, there are thousands of Wisconsin families impacted by Alzheimer's disease or dementia who need support. Who do they trust? The Alzheimer's Association. Caregiving can be an emotionally, physically, and financially draining role. The Alzheimer's Association provides education, care, and support to all those facing Alzheimer's and other dementia. The Alzheimer's Association is here all day, every day, through their free 24/7 helpline. One call, thousands of answers. If you have concerns about memory loss or other cognitive changes, or questions about caregiving, Alzheimer's diagnosis, and treatment or clinical trials, make that call today to 800-272-3900 or visit alz.org/WI.
Sponsored by the Alzheimer's Association Wisconsin chapter with funding by Oak Park Place Foundation.
Do you remember the countless times when you were young and playing in the backyard, daydreaming of playing against or with your favorite athlete, or imagining yourself chasing your dreams and experiencing life the way you're supposed to? That's how we came up with a name for Backyard Dreams. Backyard Dreams is WAYY Sports Talk 105.1 790 AM's charitable entity. We have 5 main goals for Backyard Dreams: to provide and promote opportunities for anyone to have a chance to play, to help anyone overcome obstacles to chase their dreams, to help raise awareness for those in need, to help create opportunities for those to enjoy their passions, and to help those enjoy their life and create special memories. It doesn't matter if you are a child, teen, or an adult. Backyard Dreams wants to help anyone. For more information, success stories about Backyard Dreams, and if you know someone who could benefit from Backyard Dreams, just visit sportstalk1051.com and click on the Backyard Dreams tab.
Progressive Snapshot can save you money based on how you drive and how much you drive. So the safer you drive, the more money you could save. Now, if you didn't hear that because you were looking at your phone while driving, let me say it again. Seriously, put down your phone. That is so unsafe. If you didn't do stuff
Next Wednesday, August 17th, will be the debut of the Pro Football Happy Hour. We'll have a preseason weekend, looking ahead to week dose of the preseason schedule. Pro Football Happy Hour Wednesdays from 2 to 3 p.m. Me, yourself, or me, myself, and I hosting it. We're going to be talking everything from recaps, analysis, previews, fantasy football, betting lines, all that fun stuff. That's why we call it the happy hour. So that'll start off next Wednesday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. All right, let's catch up on some texts here. Steak at this time for the Brewers. Burnt and call the fire department. Terrible, terrible, terrible. We've got Living a Dream Jeff saying, for your own favorite cuts of steak, tenderloin, medium rare. Surveyor's going. Best cut is a ribeye, rare, pan-seared, garlic and butter. Another text here. We've got, hey, DK, I like my steak medium rare, and the Brewers are medium rare as related to their ball playing. They have a great meaty lineup, and those guys can hit, even guys that don't play every day. Keston hit the game-tying home run in the ninth to go to extra innings. Problem was the throwing error from Mike Brasso. They have been in most games from the last two series and will continue. They will solidify the back end of the bullpen and find the groove, and the bats will come alive. The players are too good. Excited to see how everything turns out. Drew from Eau Claire, from what I've gathered and talking with a ton of people over the past week, is not necessarily that the fans are mad about the Hader trade itself. They are mad because over the last 5 seasons, we've shown that our weak spot isn't pitching, but consistency in the fielding and batting. We are very much a boom or bust offense. I understand that if they constantly make the playoffs, eventually they can get a shot at getting hot in October and make it to the World Series. But this Hader trade just feels to the fans like it helped 0% where we truly needed it. Drew also saying the steak is one you forgot about for an extra couple of minutes on the grill while you grab another cold one, so it's starting to approach well done. But you bought a quality cut, so it's still salvageable. You just might need a little steak sauce to cover up the fact you're hacking it apart with a hatchet. See, that's the kind of analysis right there, Drew from Eau Claire, that I'm looking for when it comes into the how would you describe this Brewers team in terms of steak doneness right now? That's quality right there. Quality from the previous texter too. That's what I'm looking for. So when you heard those comments from Mark Anasio too, if you were a fan that has been, would you say, critical of Mark Anasio, and we played that clip a few minutes in, what would your thoughts be? Has your thoughts changed? Have maybe they solidified your thoughts on the owner? Do you believe what he's got to say? Where he said it wasn't, cost cutting. He downplayed the fact that, they're a team that tries to cut costs and all that. He said they'd had financial resources available and that sort of thing. So, I mean, what are your thoughts when you hear Mark Anasio, talk about that? I mean, he said a lot in terms of, he didn't really go into the roster makings, if you will, kind of deferring to David Stearns and saying, you got to ask David about that. But he did kind of shut down the notion that had nothing to do with cost, had nothing to do with the cost of the roster. And then when we look at Brewers have the off day today. So when you look at this upcoming schedule with Tampa Bay, you've got Tampa Bay for 2 games at American Family Field. You've got the Cardinals coming up for a weekend series on the road. So the Brewers, they'll be home. Then they're a quick stop at St. Louis, and they got to return home right away for a 4-game series against the Dodgers, the red-hot Dodgers right now. Then you got the Cubbies mixed in there, and then they're on the road against the Dodgers again. Just how big is these next couple of weeks here for the Brewers? Maybe they needed this off day, clear their heads, move on, because at some point we've got to move on from this Josh Hader trade and the trade deadline. Just got to move on from it. And I get it. The more that the Brewers are going to lose, the more that they're going to continue to maybe to struggle. It's going to be talked about. It's going to be focused on. But at some point, we just got to move on from it. Players are probably trying to move on from it, but they keep getting asked about. Well, win some games and you won't get asked about it anymore. But when we look at this schedule, so the off day today, 2 games against Tampa Bay, then that's their final off day on Thursday the 11th until August 25th. And within that, they've got 3 games against the Cardinals, 7 games against the Dodgers. How big of a stretch in this part of the schedule is it for the Brewers? Is it a season-defining stretch of games? Are you willing to go out there and say that? What do the Brewers have to do during this stretch? How many wins? What do you think their record's going to be? Let's see. You got 2 against Tampa, 5. That's 3 against St. Louis, 5. We got 9. We got 12. And we got 15. 15 games. How many of those do the Brewers have to win for you to feel good about this team in this stretch of games? Coming up here with 1 off day. We're not counting today. Starting tomorrow. 15 games in 16 days. How many of those have to be wins for you to be feeling pretty good about this Brewers team? And how big of a stretch, how crucial of a stretch is this? Because I guarantee you, if the Brewers go out there, they win the series against the Cardinals, they take 2 out of 3. And then they go to the Dodgers. Let's say they split 2 out of 2. All right. But then they win 2 out of 3. Going to forget about these last couple of weeks. It'll be on the back burner. We'll be back to like, oh, yeah, this Brewers team, they got the series win against the Cards. They just won a series against the Dodgers. You're feeling pretty damn good again. Baseball is such a high and low. We live for every game. We live for every series. So if the Brewers go out there and win a series against the Cardinals and win a series against the Dodgers, especially the back-to-back, if they take 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals this weekend and then next week they take 3 out of 4 against the Dodgers, whew, this past week will be in the rear view mirror. Everybody's going to be on that bandwagon again. Going to be jacked up, going to be excited, back on the horse for the Brewers. So maybe this is, in terms of these next 15 games, maybe it's more for you just personally like, I just want them to go out there and take care of business and win and make me feel better about this team. It's just for myself, man. I want to feel good. I think that's kind of where I'm at, to be honest with you. I want something to cheer about. I want something to be excited about. We got 54 games. It's plenty of time. I don't want to, completely stick a fork in them and say they're done. Although I was having a little fun with Brandon about it on Twitter. If you go back to our combo on Friday, you'll understand. But I just want to get excited. I want to get pumped up. So let's go. You know what I mean? Take care of business against Tampa Bay. Let's go to St. Louis and just win that series. And you know what? Let's freaking sweep it. Okay? Let's knock them down a peg. Cardinals are playing really good baseball. They're coming off a fantastic weekend against the Yankees. It's going to be tough for the Brewers going up against Cardinals playing good and the Dodgers playing fantastic too. It's going to be tough. But hey, wouldn't that jack you up as a fan? You take that series against the Cardinals, you take that series against the Dodgers, it'll jack us up, but I guarantee you, it'll really get that clubhouse bumping. That's what they need right now. They need something like winning a couple of big-time series. Well, they've got that in front of them here. They can turn the tide. The only thing that's going to turn this tide is the Brewers themselves, is the players on that field. Get it done. Go win some ball games. You take care of business. You win these series. Woo, that mojo, baby. That mojo heading into the final month of the season. Oh, it's going to be a race. It is going to be a race. Let's give us something to kind of cheer about and get excited about. You know what I mean? We're looking at the latest standings here really quick because I know that shot clock is going to cut me off here. Yankees, Houston, Minnesota. Minnesota is still holding on to their division right now by a game over Cleveland. White Sox still 2 back. Mets, they had a great weekend. 8-2, 1-3 in a row against Atlanta, increasing their lead there by 6.5. We know about St. Louis and Milwaukee. Dodgers, fantastic too. 8-game win streak, 9-1 in their last 10. 15.5 game lead over the Padres. Woo. All right, we'll be back in a few minutes.
WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK.
that the Chippewa Valley has known for decades. So it was kind of neat. We had you might have saw the sports picture with Bob Brainerd there, Rick Foy as well, and Bob Gallagher and me. So a lot of sports experience was there. So yeah, really cool event. And Luke was a big part of getting that organized too. So it was nice.
At least you were the youngster in that group.
It's a rare thing, but once in a while I am.
Oh man. So we got, I know, high school football practice got underway last week. We got some scrimmages lined up this week too. But before all that, we've got some was it the Babe Ruth teams getting ready for World Series? I know a couple of them stopped by at the house over the weekend. We gave them some donations to get to the World's to make that trip over there. So that's, again, pretty darn cool to see those kiddos going over there.
Yeah, the 14U and the 15U teams both will be battling for national titles, and those I believe both start in 3 days on the 11th. So yeah, good luck to those teams. Again, it just shows you just the amount of talent in baseball in this community, and it's just going to keep on continuing.
Yep, no doubt about it. So best of luck, and bring back some hardware. I already saw some promos on ESPN for the softball World Series and the Little League World Series, because we were watching a little Sunday night baseball last night. So, which also means we're getting to the end of summer, Justice. Hate to say it, but that's the case. But Eau Claire Express, they're still looking to punch their ticket as well for that second half championship. And well, this is the final week of the regular season coming up here. They're at Duluth, then they're at Mankato, then they're at Rochester. Then they finish up the season at home Saturday. Hopefully by that time they'll have a spot clinched in the postseason.
And I think they should, knock on wood. But I believe, just looking at the standings, they've got a 6-game lead with 6 games to go.
Ooh,
so I think a win tonight by them, or a loss by Duluth or La Crosse. So get the win.
Yeah.
Get the win. And I just want to make sure. I see 6-game lead in the standings, and there are, math is not my strong suit.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, 6 games left to go. Yep. So yeah, if they have a good chance tonight they're up in Duluth of clinching it there, and yeah, then they'll know they're in and get ready for the postseason. And this team, when it makes the postseason, usually has pretty good success. Obviously, they won it in 2010, and then made it to the championship game a couple years ago. Everything feels like a couple years ago,
right?
But yeah, so a fun team to watch, and I think they're like at this point now either 29-7 at home or something like that, or 30-7 at home. They're been insane at Carson Park this year, and that's helped drive them towards a chance to get to the playoffs.
And it's going to be, I'm just kind of looking at some of the standings here, and I think when you look at it, these playoffs are going to be interesting and entertaining. I mean, Wisconsin Rapids has just been a powerhouse throughout the whole season. But you look at in the Great Plains West, you've got a little bit of a battle. Wilmer Stingers 23-5. They're up top, holding a 3.5 game lead over St. Cloud. So, you got that. But then in the first half, St. Cloud won it. So, I mean, but those two teams, Great Plains West, I mean, you're talking both over 20 wins in the first half. That's going to be entertaining, and that's going to be a good matchup there too. And then Kalamazoo, and then Traverse City, Pittsburgh. I think, was it Traverse City that beat the Express a few years ago in that championship game? So,
yep, that was like a 9th inning comeback by Traverse City. So, I mean, maybe possible revenge or the Express, who knows? But yeah, Kalamazoo's playing it right. They won the first half. Or no, did they win the first? Yeah, they did. They won the first half 22-14, and second half they're like, we got in. We're 9-21 now. So.
But no, that should be fun playoffs once it all gets set up there too. So I'm looking forward to that. But get the win and get that spot in. Then we can really deep dive into postseason action. And hopefully they'll get a game. They should get a game at home, I would think, maybe, possibly. Not sure how that all works out. So
yeah, the whole playoff thing is it's there, and if I can get it to us before the end of the show, I will let you know how it totally goes.
So with high school football and I know fall sports kind of getting underway, practice getting underway. We've got that. Is it the Regis scrimmage that's this Friday where they got like Menominee? I think my Medford's over there too. Is that this Friday? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know off the top of my head, but yeah, usually it's the second week of the season of the season, but the practices. So yeah, I remember that from last year, just being big with all those teams in there. So yeah, we're close. I mean, it's next Thursday, not this one coming up, but the next Thursday is the start. You'll have a handful of games on that Thursday, and then Friday it'll be full go. So we're almost right there to that point of it's coming, and it's coming fast.
Yeah, can't wait for that. Boys of fall getting ready to go. So
yeah, it's exciting, and I love it. You can feel the buzz in the air, and yeah, it's going to be a great season, and it's going to be, I think, just a really competitive season all around. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
So we got a text, and I'm actually surprised this person is up this early in the morning. And well, when I say this early in the morning, I've been up for over 4 hours already. But Brandon Berg sending a text wanting me to ask you a question. I know he's up this early. Brandon, did you hear about the title belt news, by the way? He said, please ask Justice how Henry the Carson Park Osprey is doing.
Henry's doing well. I was at the game on Friday night, the Express game, and Henry's up there flying majestically, carrying fish over the top of outfielders, especially the traveling outfielders who are like, what is this giant bird doing 30 feet above my head? So, yes, I know I've coined it Henry, the Carson Park Osprey. Other people have coined it different names, but I think I've called it Henry for the last 12 years. So I'm going to stick with Henry, and then if there's another one, sometimes it's Henrietta.
Henrietta.
So, we can have... there was a year, I think there was like 3 Osprey living out there. So you could add like maybe Andy Pathco the other.
There you go.
Joe Torre the Osprey. So just pull out all the famous names. Euchre the Osprey. So
we got some good ones we could go with.
They're doing well. The fishing must be pretty good over there at Half Moon.
That's the analysis that everybody's listening to right now.
Right, exactly.
Thanks, Brandon, for that text. And what the heck are you doing up this early there? Maybe he's going to go watch a practice or something. Could be.
That sounds like it.
Yeah. All right. So let's get your thoughts on the Brewers here, Justice. So ever since we've been talking a lot about the deadlines. Last we talked to you was before Josh. I mean, last time we talked to you, Justice, Josh Hader was still a member of the Brewers. So
right.
Seems like a long time ago already, but
it really does. In Twitter terms, that's 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, right. So now we see what the Brewers have been doing since that. They've won one game in their last 6. Got swept by Pittsburgh. Getting just one win against the Reds. Mark Anasio, we played a clip from when he kind of discussed it on Friday, where he said it had nothing to do with financial, had nothing to do with money. He even kind of hinted that they were talking about, or at least having conversations with Washington about Juan Soto. I mean, he mentioned Juan Soto a couple times in there. I don't know if you saw the clip from Adam McCulvey that was about a 6-minute interview there, but okay. We're kind of having a little bit of fun with this, Justice, with the question of, in terms of stake doneness, how you feeling about this Brewers team right now? But before we get to that, what was your reaction from last week to kind of recap everything?
See, because it was on Monday when that happened.
Yeah.
Because I was on with you, and then I was out at the Chamber golf outing, and then I don't know if it was 12 o'clock or wherever it was. All of a sudden, everybody's asking me about this trade. Like, what do I think about it? I'm like, I mean, the immediacy trade reaction for me was like they needed more of a bat in the lineup. You needed something in return that could help you right now. And I don't know if they got that. I mean, Rogers can go out there and pitch for you now. But like a bat would have been nice to get in return. But it wasn't a surprise. I think we had talked about it. It was like it was probably going to happen at some point, if not this year or next year, just because of how much it was going to cost them. But I don't know how much the trade has anything to do with what's happened the last week. I don't know how much that you can say that this one guy has affected this team to get one win since it's happened. But yeah, it's a tough trade. I understand that because you are competing and you were in first place when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I as a smaller market team, they're going to do this. It's going to happen. You're going to trade off these guys that are bigger. But it's tough because it really hurt your fan base. Really hurts after something like this because it's like, why are you trading away this big asset during a pennant race? So I can see both sides of it. It's just been tough because this is the worst case scenario for the Brewers, in my opinion, is to have this trade and then just pull out two stinkers of series against two teams that were sellers at the trade deadline. So, yeah, it has not been a good week for the Brewers.
So now it's not going to get any easier with this upcoming couple weeks here because you've got, well, Tampa Bay for 2 games here, but then Cardinals, who are playing some darn good baseball and had a fantastic weekend against the Yankees, and the red hot Dodgers. You got 2 series with them up there. So this is a big couple weeks coming up here, JC. They're big. Is it almost like, is it too early to say season defining perhaps with just 54 games left to go?
Oh, it's big because you've now fallen behind the Cardinals in the division. So you got to get some kind of momentum here because this season will go fast from this point on.
Stretch run, man.
Yeah, we're getting closer to mid-August, and you have basically a month and a half left here. And in baseball terms, that's not a lot of season. So, yeah, I mean, there's obviously time left to get everything, righten up the ship here and get things going. But it's been rough. It has really been rough here, especially, you start out the second half. And thankfully, for them, they won 7 of 8 to start after the All-Star break.
Yeah.
But you've now erased everything, basically, that you have losing 6 of 7. So you're at 500 basically for the second half of the season. So now, you've got the Tampa series, which is not an easy series. You have Woodruff and Peralta going there. So against Tampa at home. Yeah, like you said, St. Louis and then Los Angeles, you got the Cubs thrown in there, and that's a rivalry game, and you cannot discount them. You've got games against Pittsburgh, which all of a sudden, it is so funny with the Brewers and the Pirates. It's either the Brewers are just completely owning the Pirates, or somehow it flips and the Pirates are completely owning the Brewers. There never seems to be any middle ground between those two when they're playing each other. So it seems like normally it's the Brewers controlling them, and they were dominating the Pirates up until this last series where they got swept. So, yeah, not a good look for the Brewers to come out after that trade, though. It is, I mean, because all the chatter you're hearing is like, this trade, look what it's done to this team. Look at this bullpen. Devin Williams isn't ready to be a closer. Devin Williams, I don't know if Devin Williams is. And right now, does he have the mental makeup to be in that position? Because how shell-shocked he seemed after the Hader trade. And I think that interview, got ran a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but you have other guys who could be closers in there too. So it was just, I just come back to a worst case scenario to happen to the Brewers after a big trade like that.
A lot of criticism has been directed, to Mark Anancio. Was it a cost cutting? But actually, when you kind of break it all down, they actually added more payroll when you factor in the Trevor Rosenthal trade. And hopefully we'll see him in a few weeks here. He's not even ready to go yet. But he addressed that, and he said it wasn't. I mean, he kind of hinted at, maybe they were talking about Juan Soto, but he hinted that, yeah, if they made a move for a guy like Juan Soto, they would have been able to afford it. And he talked about they would have been able to afford money for next year. But there's still a lot of criticism directed towards Mark Anancio. There's obviously criticism directed at David Stearns, and there's been some criticism we've had from listeners directed at Craig Counsell for the way he's been managing in these past couple of weeks here. Do any of those three deserve any of that criticism, in your opinion, JC?
It's tough because, we don't know the private conversations that were being held with Josh Hader, too. We don't know how much he wanted to stay in Milwaukee, all that kind of stuff, too.
Right.
He said he did all the right thing. Maybe he did. It's part of the business, and it's a tough part of the business. I don't think you can say you were in the Juan Soto conversation, but you really think, I don't know how much Juan Soto wants to come to Milwaukee. That's the tough thing, is because a lot of these guys, when this happens, have a place in their head that they want to go.
Right.
And obviously you can put the deal out there, but if somebody doesn't want to play here, they're not going to play here. They're going to tell them no. And you can be the ownership of the Nationals and trade him to somewhere he doesn't want to go, but good luck with that.
And I wonder if the Brewers were a part of that, I almost wonder if the Brewers would have said, can we get a new deal in place? Even though they had or maybe not because they feel because he is under arbitration for a couple of years. But that's also that's pushing in all your chips for just the next couple of years type of move too, and probably going to go in the tanker after that for a while.
And this is kind of the same conversation we've had with about the Packers too.
Oh yeah, yep.
How much are you willing to put your chips all in and go for a title to mortgage the future? At what point is it do you just give away everything for one season? And that's always a tough thing. It really is. I mean, I would love to see the Brewers win a World Series title in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
We're celebrating 40 years of that 1982 team. I don't think Brewers fans want to wait another 40 years before they have that opportunity to get into the World Series. So it has just been a tough week. And you have a week here where you have a chance to play some really tough top opponents and get yourself, back on the path. But you got to do it this week because we know those Cardinals aren't going anywhere, and they're going to keep it. You now are behind them. You were ahead of them for most of the year, but now you're playing catch up, which hasn't been some position the Brewers have had to be in this year. So I'm sure there's a sense of urgency, obviously in that clubhouse now, because 2 games back and a big week and some tough opponents, you got to find a way. It's you and the Cardinals coming down to it. That's how it goes. Wild card wise, you probably have no chance at that, the way some of these other teams are playing right now. So yeah, it's coming down to the final month and a half between you and the Cardinals. Now find a way to win. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Heck, I'm even looking at, this upcoming week, but then in the middle of September, you've got St. Louis for 2 games, the Yankees, the Mets, squeaked in there's 4 games with the Reds, and then St. Louis again. Something about the middle of the month in these next 2 months. It's going to be tough, man.
And you need to get some, the bats they've had some games, you're scoring 5 runs against the Reds, but you can't be giving up 7 runs against the Reds.
No.
And maybe there's a thing with the, pressing, you're pressing for these. The Reds and the Pirates have nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
They're not making the playoffs this year, and maybe that's how they've been playing, and maybe the Brewers felt the pressure after this last week, started feeling it, and yeah, you come into that Reds series thinking, okay, well, we just got swept. We've lost 4 in a row. We got to do something. You win the first game, but then, to lose those next 2 to the Reds and then some, tough fashion as well, especially yesterday's game, to lose it in extra innings. Yeah, it's big against Tampa Bay here on Tuesday and Wednesday if you can find a way to get a small 2-game sweep.
Yeah.
You head to St. Louis with more momentum and go in there. You know what? Yeah, if you're still 2 games back, you head to St. Louis, you have a chance to take back first place. So it sets up well for them to do something this week. But, man, if it goes south, it could go south real quickly the way things have been going here the last week and a half.
Agreed. All right, we got to take a quick break here, and then I do want to touch on a little bit of football, but also I've got to address something from this past Friday that a lot of people have asked me about. It's a little bit of a tease, but that's why I want you to stick around and listen to this, okay?
Okay, I will.
A little bit. Well, yeah, especially you, JC. Okay. Brandon, by the way, he's checking out Bloomer football practice. He texted.
Oh, nice.
So getting up there in Bloomer country. I know we got a lot of listeners in Bloomer. So if you're listening, honk the horn at Brandon and say hi if you see him over there. So we'll take a quick break and then we'll chat a little football coming up after these quick words.
You're listening to The Dan Kasper Show.
Taking the family out to eat can be tough because everybody wants something different. Hy-Vee has a solution, though. From scratch-made pizzas and fresh Asian foods to great handmade burgers, sandwiches, salads, and the incredible breakfast menu served every day. The most exciting food service location in the Chippewa Valley has what you are looking for. Are you looking for a carryout? The buckets of chicken tenders or fried chicken are a great option as well. Make your meals easy with the help from Hy-Vee, and I'll see you there.
Hi, this is Matt LePay, voice of Badgers football and basketball. At this very moment, there are thousands of Wisconsin families impacted by Alzheimer's disease or dementia who need support. Who do they trust? The Alzheimer's Association. Caregiving can be an emotionally, physically, and financially draining role. The Alzheimer's Association provides education, care, and support to all those facing Alzheimer's and other dementia. The Alzheimer's Association is here all day, every day, through their free 24/7 helpline. One call, thousands of answers. If you have concerns about memory loss or other cognitive changes, or questions about caregiving, Alzheimer's diagnosis, and treatment or clinical trials, make that call today to 800-272-3900 or visit alz.org/WI.
Sponsored by the Alzheimer's Association Wisconsin chapter with funding by Oak Park Place Foundation.
Your favorite golf outing is back. The second annual Casper Classic, benefiting Backyard Dreams, will be happening on August 26th at Princeton Valley Golf Course in Eau Claire. For just $90, you get a two-person team that includes 9 holes of golf, a cart, 6 free drink tickets, and a lunch. This year, we have 2 sessions teeing off for a shotgun start. Tee times are at 10:30 a.m. and 1 o'clock p.m. So give Princeton Valley a call at 715-834-3334 to sign up and pick your session before it fills up. Might need you, JC, to do a little reconnaissance work, because I believe you have a neighbor that works at Carpet City Florence. All right, right, JC, are you there? JC, are you there? Did you zoom out on me, Jason? JC, Justice, did you mute yourself? Wait, how about now? Are you there, JC?
I'm here.
Okay, that
Can
was
you hear
weird.
me?
I can hear you now. Good.
That was I didn't touch
weird.
anything. I didn't touch anything.
So back to the question. You got a neighbor or somebody that lives next to you that works at Carpet City Florence, all right?
Yes, Ben.
All right, Ben. So they've kind of gone, when we get closer, because they're going to be at the golf outing too. And I got to know if they're working on their game. So if you notice Ben in the backyard working on the short game or anything like that, let me know. Okay?
He knows I do it. So
I know that's
he's picking up the foam golf balls out of his yard all the time. So yeah, he knows I'm the one who's working too much for the dividends that practice pays. Is not a whole lot though, for me.
The rest of you, maybe you need to go into Carpet City Flooring Center and see if they've been kind of gearing up, because I got a feeling they're going to try to win this thing coming up on the 26th.
All in.
They're all in. Whether I don't know what team they're bringing, if it's going to be Jason, if it'd be Matt or Ben, but I need some reconnaissance work from all of you out there. So go on in, you, the neighbor, or the rest of you head on in the Carpet City Flooring Center. So when you're buying your flooring, ask them if they're getting ready for the Casper Classic and that. I think they're a little intense. I think they're going to want to come in and win it this year. So got to take them down. Ben's a good golfer.
Yes, he is. Yep.
Very good.
Well, he's got some hockey skills to him. So
exactly.
Yeah. Usually translates very well to the course from what I've seen.
Yep. The only thing he needs the Happy Gilmore putter, though. he needs to add that to his bag. So, okay. Before we get into a little green and gold talk, I got to address a couple things here from Friday. So Friday, I met up, Peter King, NFL Insider, gave me a shout because he's doing his training camp tour thing. And he was coming from Chicago, going to Minneapolis. He's going to make a pit stop in the great town of Eau Claire. And he said, let's go to DQ, get some ice cream. He wanted to meet Hudson. So I got a lot of flack on social media for going to DQ with him instead of going to one of our local ones. It was not my pick, people. And of course, It was right off of 94. You know what I mean? So I just want to say that. Don't give me the flack. Don't give me any of that. It was quick because, I mean, they're not from the area. They got to get back on 94 and they had to get to Minnesota. Okay? I just wanted to get that out there. Wasn't my pick. Second of all,
Yeah.
Jason Garrett did not clap when he ordered ice cream. Okay? I just want to put that down. He did not go on a clapping spree or anything like that. So just throwing that out there.
You know, when I saw that picture, that was pretty surreal. That's awesome. I think that is really cool that he knew he was coming through and reached out to you. So that tells you what kind of guy he is. And that's really cool. That is really cool. So no, I can't give you any flack for that. Like you said, it's all about logistics.
Legit. That's the word I was trying to think of. Thank you. Logistics right there. So no, but yeah, I didn't know Garrett was going to be there. And all of a sudden I looked up, and I mumbled to my wife, I'm like, what's Jason Garrett walking through? What the hell is he doing here?
Yeah, that would be one of those like out of nowhere left field kind of things. Like, oh, Jason Garrett?
Yeah, right. Like, wasn't he just in Ohio on TV doing football or something like that for the Hall of Fame game? And no, he was there. He was a nice guy though. Yeah, he was really nice to talk to. So
it's probably for him. I mean, this is kind of like a break after all he's been through in the last decade,
right? But he was talking a little bit about Rich Bisaccia. He's good friends with Rich Bisaccia. He said he stayed at his house or was going to stay at his house for something coming up here. I don't know if he just did at Packers practice the other day or was going to. I don't know, but yeah, he's a big fan of Rich Bisaccia and such. So, but I know they were at Green Bay's practice. They're actually doing a little North tour here with Chicago and Minnesota, but that Football Morning in America piece is up there right now. So a lot of talk, obviously, about Aaron and his, how should we say this, Justice? And the way he prepares himself mentally, how do we want to say this? His psychedelic stuff, whatever the heck he's on right now.
There's a 2.5 hour podcast out there on YouTube if you really want to
I have not
dive as deep as you want to into that.
I have not tuned into it yet. Have you?
I kind of skimmed. I don't have 2.5 hours to sit to do anything anymore. But I get, you know what? Aaron's going to be Aaron. And he's got a personality that's unique. And I think we should just, you know what? That's how he's going to be. That's how he's going to be. So it's kind of just fun to watch what's going to happen. It's really been for him just to see him from his rookie year to now and the journey that it's already been. What's the next couple of years going to be like too?
You know, I'm glad you brought that up because you were there when he was drafted, right? You were there when he first arrived to Green Bay. Obviously, you're in Eau Claire now, but from what you saw in the first early glimpses of Aaron to what he is now, how much of a change is this in terms of personality?
I feel like it's a lot, but it's not in a way because he's always been, kind of this guy who's really thinking about everything, it seems, it's not just football. It's been the broad picture the whole time. And I think this is just part of that. He's never wanted to be defined just by football. And obviously he's one of the best quarterbacks in history. So he's always going to have that, but he's always had a guy who's had his ear to something else too. And I think we're just kind of seeing the natural maturation of that. And this is who Aaron Rodgers is. He's always been a guy who's had these different thoughts going on in his head at the same time when he's playing really good quarterback. So I think we've seen that. And as a guy, I don't want to say sensitive, but he's a guy who's just, isn't just 100%. His life isn't football 100%. There are a lot of different things he does. And this, again, I think this is just a part of that.
Yeah. I mean, he already downplayed the notion there's no way he's playing as long as Tom Brady did. But I think that's, again,
that's pretty, yeah.
But that's a guy I think we all look at. Tom Brady, that's his thing. It's football. Yeah, he's dabbled into other stuff and TB12 methods and all that. But when it comes down to it, that's like his life is football. And I don't get the sense of that from Aaron. And I think, if you read the Football Morning in America column, he does talk about, he's gotten more of an appreciation or he's fallen in love more with the game of football. But I think he also realizes it's not the be-all, set-all thing. And it probably, maybe he doesn't want to be defined by just the game of football either.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I've always felt. Just, just from, again, I don't know him personally. I know him from being in the locker room and stuff like that. But just from that feeling from day one to now it's kind of been like that. This is a guy who loves playing football, is great at playing football, but football is not what defines him.
Mhm.
And there's just different things he's doing. The offseason is pretty short for an NFL player, but he's makes the most of them.
Yeah.
Be it there's going to be drama, there's going to be other stuff, but there's always something coming out of the offseason with Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, he did take a page out of good old Farvey's book there, huh? A little bit.
Maybe he did learn a little something. It really is funny because I mean you think about the amount of the two personalities are completely different personalities, but man, they've both made it real interesting for the past 20 years.
Yeah, they have. Maybe another quarterback could join that group. Jordan Love. Maybe at the beginning of training camp, I wasn't making the greatest impressions, but sure you've seen it too, JC, and maybe you watched a little bit on Family Night. But there's now a lot of talk coming out of camp of his improvement. The footwork has been credited with Tom Clements coming in. The zip on his throws looked pretty darn impressive. He made a couple great throws on Family Night. But there's a lot of reports coming through from the people who are watching practice in person from this last week or so, saying that he looks better now than at any other point he has in the first couple years of his time with the Packers. Now I get it; it's practice and all that sort of stuff, but the narrative is changing a little bit with Jordan Love. But I want to say this: anybody getting their hopes up that this is going to help trade rumors for him this year, it ain't happening. Just take that out of your memory bank, right? It's not happening this year. So
they're all in that. He's all in as number 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no changing that.
No, none. So, I mean, there's another guy out there that's going to be traded before him, and they're struggling to find somebody, and that's Jimmy Garoppolo right now.
Right.
So, but no, I mean, I think if you're a Packers fan too, you should be happy to hear this. You should be, because there's still, I'm seeing some fans like, Jordan, blah, blah, but you should be happy that he's performing well at practice because hope it doesn't happen. But if he has to go start a game or he does have to go play a game, you want him to play well. Or if you just don't want him at all, you still want him performing well because maybe it will help trade bait. So I've been seeing, fans on social media still griping about Jordan Love. But at the same time, you should be happy that he is performing well, right? It shouldn't be something like, I feel like there's still fans that they want to take it to Goody for drafting him. I didn't like the draft pick. You saw my reaction, Justice, when that Jordan Love pick happened when we were doing our draft show, via Zoom. I didn't like it, but at the same time, I don't want to sabotage his career just to get back at Goody. I want Jordan Love to succeed, for crying out loud.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I mean, we're at the point where we're almost 3 years from this happening, 3 seasons from this happening. We're in the 3rd season.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy that you have a 40-year-old quarterback, starting quarterback, near 40 years old. You need somebody who's solid that can come in there. Yeah, maybe Rodgers plays the whole season, and that's what if you're a Packers fan, obviously you want that. But having the fact that Jordan Love keeps making these strides, and this is the point when Aaron Rodgers started making those strides.
Mm-hmm.
So it is tough to play starting quarterback in the NFL, but to have that chance to sit behind a Hall of Fame quarterback for a couple years and learn the right way to do it, it paid off for Aaron Rodgers, and I think it's paying off for Jordan Love. So I think you got to have him ready to go because with a guy at the age of Rodgers, there's a chance that he could miss some games.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a chance with anybody who's playing starting quarterback in the NFL. But yeah, I think there should be no one cheering against Jordan Love because he hasn't done anything other than come in and say the right things and do the right things. So yeah, you should be wishing for luck for him to turn in and continue to develop either way, if he stays with the Packers or if he ends up netting the Packers some draft picks later on.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. I mean, there's different ways you can go about it, but at the same point, you should want Jordan Love to play well. I was kind of shaking my head seeing some of the stuff, and I get it. It's Twitter and Facebook. It's a dark place out there. But it's like, man, you want to cheer for the guy. He might be the future starter. He might not. But right now, Jordan Love helps your team, or you want him to help your team. You don't want him to go out there and if he does play awful and, cost your team a game or some games or anything like that. Cheer for the guy. Cheer for number 10.
You know, it gets easier too to look back on that 2020 draft and see people that were picked around him too,
Mhm.
of like where he stands. And I don't know. Right now, it doesn't look like it's the worst pick in the world after obviously the initial night of it being like, what are they doing?
Mhm.
So
Yep.
no, it might. There is still a chance, guys. This works out very well in the Packers' favor. There's still a chance.
Still a chance. All right, we got to restart the Zoom, so we're going to take a quick break here. And then we're already going to be wrapping up the darn second hour of the program. Been flying on by. So tell you what, we'll take that quick break. We'll get back to JC and EC wrapping up the second hour already. But Brewers fans still want to hear from you in terms of we're having a little fun with this. And the best answer, you're going to get $50 from River Country Co-op to use in gas, okay? In terms of steak doneness, we're talking rare, talking well done, medium. How would you describe the current state, the current status of this Milwaukee Brewers team? Hit me up with some texts, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. We'll take a quick break. We'll have more as we finish up this second hour with Mr. Justice Cleveland.
Got a take on
Cardinals team slipping anytime soon. So yeah, I think if they don't turn it around here this week, it's going to be. It's not. And there's still a lot of season, so there's a chance. But they just got to get some momentum because right now they have zero.
None. Zero. You're exactly right. I agree with you. It's like I'm probably at the same. I'm at a medium. I don't want to give up, even though this was not a good week, but I agree with you. I think these next couple weeks here is going to tell us a lot. And we're doing a little bit of scoreboard watching now with the Cardinals too. I mean, heck, Cardinals took care of business, man, against the Yankees. You got to tip the cap to them. They got that job done. And I went into the weekend thinking, all right, here's an opportunity for the Brewers. You're going up against the Reds, Cardinals against the Yankees. All right, Brewers can right the ship, get a little bit of ground in the division. Nope. Total opposite right there, but tip of the cap to the Cardinals. And
what if now they only play well against the good teams? Remember how in the first half everybody was talking about all their wins were coming against the Reds, the Pirates, teams of that ilk? What if they flip the script and now, because they beat the Twins for 2 games. Boston has a winning record.
Yeah.
Colorado start. So maybe it's different now. Maybe they only play good against really good teams.
I like the optimism.
I'm trying, but they also play the Pirates and Cubs and Reds a lot more coming up here. So I don't know how that would work out.
Yeah, man. But no, I agree. This is going to be a tough test for the Brewers coming up here, and let's see if they can pass it. I think we just want, as fans, something to kind of get excited about, right? Because it was a downer from a fan's perspective last week with Hader moving on. They didn't acquire a bat at the deadline, so you're kind of already feeling blah. But then they go out and they lose all these games. It's like, oh, even worse. So we just want something to be excited about, right? I think that's the main thing I want from a pure fan, is just give us something to cheer about, give us something to be excited about.
Yeah, and when some of those losses are involving guys that you got in those trades, it doesn't help things either. There's nothing too exciting about having 2 guys you just acquire end up being parts of losses there, and the guy who's supposed to take over as your closer struggling in that role as well. So yeah, there's a lot that's just been kind of working against the Brewers this last week.
Yeah. So off day today. Hey, maybe like Bull Durham, they just needed an off day.
Right.
That whole thing. So maybe, get excited about that. But yeah. As one texter noted, a lot of home games too. Yeah. But I mean, they're just 5 games. They're 27-22 at home and 31-28 on the road. Nothing too dramatic. I mean, St. Louis is like 35-20 at home.
Right.
They're the Mets 35-18 at home.
There's not a big difference for the Brewers this year.
Dodgers 38-15 and 37-18. They're just good. Just leave them alone. They're just Dodgers.
Brewers get them at home next week, so that'll be
then on the road after that too. So
yeah.
But man, do you buy that? Do you think they were actually in the Juan Soto trade, or is it like? Let me give you the comparison. Were they actually legit in conversations, or was it the Ted Thompson? They made a phone call and just checked in.
I think they put their shot out there. You know what I mean? I think they said, hey, this is what we have to offer. I don't think anybody was going to match what San Diego was giving up. I mean, San Diego, as much as everybody's like, oh, they got him. How do they get him? They gave a whole lot. You didn't give up any of your bigger players, and you got Josh Bell and also throwing in that trade. So, I mean, it looks great on San Diego, but they're mortgaging the next years after this. I mean, they have the guys who are there now who will be there for a while, but at some point, that check's going to come due for San Diego. But that's when you have a little more money. I don't know where you want to describe San Diego as what market, because obviously they're not the largest market in California, but they still have a good sized market comparatively to, like, say, Oakland, or like the Brewers. So they're isn't that a team too? I can't believe they just got sold, or they are being sold, or something like that. So they're trying to make a splash as well. So yeah, you weren't going to match that offer they put out there. I think the only other team that was probably going to try to match that would have been the Dodgers.
Yeah.
So
I know Cardinals were in talks too, but I don't know.
San Diego wasn't going to be denied. That's what it came down to looking at to me.
And
It's
I
like
think
San
a lot of
Diego-
that has to do with the Dodgers are in their division.
Right.
Try to go back and forth with those two teams for the next few years.
We'll see how it all pays off. I mean, for
Yep.
San Diego, if you don't win a World Series, then you lost.
Yeah.
You've made these big moves. And the same goes for the Dodgers too. The next couple of years too, you got to win some World Series to compete with them. So these two teams, I mean, both of them are going to be right there.
Mm-hmm.
But if neither of those teams win a World Series in the next couple of years, we'll see how it goes.
I think was the number heard us last week, like in the last, was it 20 years, maybe even 25 years? It's like the Dodgers and the Yankees have only won one World Series apiece, for all the money that they spend and all that. And they've only won. I mean, that's not a for sure thing. I mean, it puts you in position, it puts you in an advantage more so than other teams, but it doesn't guarantee you anything.
No. And I mean, we've seen, this arms race between the Dodgers and Padres, I mean, very much reminds me of the Yankees and the Red Sox in the mid to early 2000s. Just, a ton of money being spent by two divisional rivals. And yes, there was, for the Red Sox got those titles. So, I mean, the Padres, I feel like, are in that Red Sox spot if we're looking at this race. I think the Dodgers are the Yankees of the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they'd ever want to hear that or be called that going back to the days. But yeah, I mean, you think of a team like the Mets who are rolling.
Yeah.
And didn't, weirdly, like the Mets flying under the radar, even though they're not in their own town, but maybe in the rest of the country they are.
Right.
And there's teams, the Astros are going to be out. And the Twins, I mean, there's teams that can find a way. So there's no guarantee you spend that much money, it's going to pay off in a title.
Yep. I agree. What the Padres and Dodgers are kind of doing, it almost reminds me, if I want to put it in a comparison to other sports, maybe a little bit like the Rams and Buccaneers. I'm trying to think of the two teams in the NFL that are like, bringing in a bunch of people. And it's a little bit different in the NFL because you got a salary cap, right? You just can't just sit there and spend. But maybe in basketball, it's like what the Lakers try to do unsuccessfully, but, spent a whole lot. Or maybe, I'm trying to think, maybe Boston and Miami did back in the day with, I don't know, but we've seen it. I don't know if it's necessarily in divisions in basketball, more so in like conferences, obviously with Eastern and Western, but maybe like Lakers and Warriors a little bit. I don't know, but there's some comparisons, not as good as what the Padres and Dodgers are doing because they're in the same division. So
right. Well, what's the reaction in San Diego? I mean, they've lost 4 straight.
Yeah.
You spend all this money. Is there just no worry?
I think they're waiting for Fernando Tatis Jr. to come back.
Right. And it's not even that. Who did you lose 3 of those 4 games to?
Dodgers. Yeah.
The Dodgers. and in convincing fashion, you were outscored 20-4.
Yeah.
In 3 games. So, I mean, if you're San Diego, there should be a little bit of worry there.
Yeah.
Like you said, Tatis, you want him to come back. But, yeah, I mean, you're spending all that money and you go out and lose 4 straight to the team that you're directly trying to beat. So, yeah.
Yep, I agree. All right, dude. Shot clock's going to cut me off, so you have a fantastic week. It's going to be busy. It's going to get busier and busier and busier for you, so we appreciate the time that you make for us every Monday morning, buddy. It went by fast here.
Yes, it did. Always a good start to the week.
Absolutely. So, all right. The shot clock should cut off here in a couple seconds. There you go. Coming up next, we'll kick off the 8 o'clock hour with some studs and duds. Who made your studs and duds list? Text those babies on over, 715-830-1912. Quick break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1 and 790 AM. Sports Talk 105.1 with the very latest local news.
We may be a little damp here, but we start with Mother Nature as different parts of our state are waking up to flood worries. The National Weather Service has the entire southern third of Wisconsin under a flood watch until later this afternoon. As forecasters say, Madison and the surrounding counties could see as much as 2 inches of rain. We'll keep eyes on that. In other headlines, we switch to politics. Wisconsin's Republican race for governor is tight heading into tomorrow's Election Day. A new poll from Emerson College gives Rebecca Clayfish a 2-point lead over Tim Michaels, 36-34, but that is within the poll's margin of error. Now, the poll says 14% of Republican voters are undecided. Well, 8% of voters support Tim Ramthun and 6% Kevin Nicholson, despite the fact that he dropped out of the race. Now, voters make a choice tomorrow. When it comes to that political stage, we'll hang out just a little bit longer, but that's because the RNC has made it official. Milwaukee will host the 2024 Republican National Convention. UW Milwaukee political scientist Thomas Holbrook here saying that's likely to be beneficial to the city.
I'm not talking dollars and cents necessarily, but I think in terms of sort of prestige as a major city, putting Milwaukee a little bit more on the map, certainly high visibility for at least a few weeks going into the convention, and then, of course, convention week.
Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson and RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel announced the pick heading into the weekend, and it came after officials in Nashville had rejected a preliminary contract to host the convention. Well, if we want to go green, look up. The next green energy project in Eau Claire looks to be headed for the roof of one of our city's fire stations. City's capital plan calls for a new solar array for the roof at fire station number 5. Now, there's already a solar panel at fire station number 8, kind of out by the city's airport. City planner Ned Knoll saying both projects will help the city of Clearwater meet the carbon neutral goal of 2050 and the city's 100% renewable energy goal. Well, continuing with Eau Claire projects, we turn the page to a new chapter for the library expansion as they're looking to borrow $2 million to get that expansion into the next chapter. With 715 Newsroom coverage, John DeMaster brings us more details about the question that the city will chat about.
The city council set to vote tomorrow on whether to ask for a new $2 million loan from the state to bridge the gap between the end of construction on the library and the time when donations start to roll in again. About $7 million of the library's $18 million price tag is being paid for with private donations, but not all that money's been delivered yet. The loan wouldn't have to be paid back till 2024, which is when library managers say they should get all their donations. I'm John DeMaster.
We all look in the mirror and think, you're not totally happy with everything. But a DIY nose job, yoy.
He showed up at a Sao Paulo emergency room where he was treated and referred to doctors who are trained to operate on noses. Local media reported that the man tried the self-surgery after watching a YouTube video on do-it-yourself nose jobs. YouTube has removed the video. I'm Mark Mayfield.
You know, if you go through Casper's Google search history, it's how to be a good friend. Check the YouTube video. But the weirdest thing I found him looking up,
A YouTube video on do-it-yourself nose jobs.
For Sports Talk 105.1, I'm Morgan McCarthy.
We'll start off the morning with a bit of fog and some mist, but otherwise throughout the late morning and into the early afternoon, clouds will continue to decrease. That said, our temperatures aren't going to warm up too much, only into about the upper 70s. Later on tonight, mainly clear conditions as we dip to the mid-50s for our overnight low, and our dry pattern continues going into tomorrow with plenty of sunshine and temperatures climbing to the low 80s. I'm Skywarn 13 meteorologist Mike Dandria.
What's your favorite live event? A rockin' concert, an action-packed game, or an evening of hilarious stand-up comedy? Well, whatever it is, enter for a chance to win tickets in the 5-Hour Energy Live Sweepstakes. 5-Hour Energy is giving away $100 StubHub gift cards that you can use for live music, sports, or entertainment. Just by
Oh, final hour already on this Monday morning. Appreciate you tuning in, however and wherever you may be tuning in. Dan Kasper Show is on the air. Radio dials, 2 of those, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Worldwide at sportstalk1051.com, where you can stream it or grab the video stream link up there. We got Brad on there a little bit earlier. I missed this. Sorry, Brad. Still just can't believe we traded the best closer in baseball over the last few years to deepen our bullpen and not add the offense. We will see, but I think this is a bad error by the front office. Also, you can join in the conversation with hitting us up with some text at 715-830-1912. Follow us on Twitter, DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports there too. Don't forget, you can download the Sports Talk app. Take us on the go. Also available Google and Alexa home devices. Brewers fans, the question that we're kind of throwing out there in terms of steak doneness, where are you at with this Brewers team? Rare, so rare, it's, not even cooked. Like, yeah, we got time, we're good. It's not panic. Or are you like, so well done, you got to put some steak sauce on there just to, give it a little bit of moisture, something like that. Where are you at? Hit us up, okay? Best answers. Get a $50 gas card from River Country Co-op. Found one more on the desk this morning, so that's how we're going to do it up. Let's do some studs and duds from the weekend. I'll just start off with duds right away. Duds, I mean, come on. It's the Brewers. You dropped the series against the Reds. It's just ridiculous. They're not playing good baseball right now. Hopefully they can turn it around. They've got a big couple weeks coming up here. Tampa Bay for 2 games. Cardinals home against the Dodgers for 4. Little series there with the Cubbies. Then back on the road to the Dodgers there too. So we got a big couple weeks coming up here. Let's turn it around. But right now, that was a dud of a week from the Brewers. And I'm not putting anybody else up there. It's just focusing on the Brewers. I do have a few more studs, though. You got to tip your cap. Cardinals had a hell of a weekend against the Yankees. Just got to do the good old tip cap right there. Dodgers have been, on fire. They took care of business against the Padres there, too. So that's a stud there. This one, I got to give credit to Pat McAfee for putting this one out there. We've got, I'm a sucker for a good walkout song, pump up music. And he posted this video, Edwin Diaz from the Mets. And I mean, if I'm a Mets fan and I'm in the stadium and I'm hearing a song like this, I'm getting a little jacked up too. What's the best walk-up song? Like if somebody had to describe your life, that's Edwin Diaz. He walks out of the video was like epic too. He's coming out of the pen, jogs on the field there. But if somebody had to describe your life, or you had to pick a walkout song for your own life, or for wherever you were going, you walk into an establishment and they play that song, what's your walkout song? I'm a sucker for a good walkout or intro song. So that was a stud one right there too. We talked a little bit about it earlier too. Studs, best, with the Eau Claire Babe Ruth, best of luck. I know they're raising some funds out there too. We donated over the weekend. Shout out to the kiddos who showed up at our front door. But best of luck to Babe Ruth teams and that stuff. Studs, the Express getting closer to clinching a postseason spot. So studs right there too. All right, there we go. Also a couple studs I want to add because I think their stock is rising a little bit here in terms of the green and gold world. I'm going to go with Devontae Wyatt. Now, he was a first-round pick, defensive lineman from Georgia by the Packers. Kind of a quiet training camp and all that. He's been about second team, kind of fifth. If you look at the depth chart for defensive linemen, Kenneth Clark, number 1. You got Reed up there. You got Dean Lowry, TJ Slayton have been up ahead of him in the depth chart. So it's been kind of quiet. But as soon as the pads went on And the lights went bright on Friday night. Vontae Wyatt had a good family night. Get a good family night. And, I mean, this is a guy, Quay Walker, he's getting starting reps. Romeo Doubs has been the talk of camp. We're still waiting for Christian Watson to make his debut. And you kind of forgot a little bit, I think, about this first rounder, this big defensive lineman, Mr. Wyatt. And, I mean, he's kind of had a quiet camp, working it up a little bit on the depth chart there. But he hadn't, when the lights turned on, prime time a little bit there Friday night, and I get it, it's practice, but I remember Ted Thompson always kind of saying that, the big thing they took away from like a thing like family night or even preseason games was these youngsters. Ted would always say he looks in their eyes because you're under the lights. And that's the one thing, with Green Bay and Packers fans, and this is a credit to Packers fans. You go to a preseason game, it's like a regular season game in terms of the environment. You don't have just like 2,000 people in there and it's quiet. You go to family night, what'd they say, over 50,000? It's like a game-like atmosphere. Preseason, next week, Lambeau, the only one home. It's going to be like a regular season game in there. The atmosphere is going to be loud. It's going to be 70-some thousand people in there. But I remember Ted Thompson always talking about looking at the eyes of those youngsters to see how they handle the moment. And that's an advantage for Green Bay. They can see, get a glimpse of that early on. But Wyatt had a great night. He's going to be counted upon this year. He's going to be part of a rotation, a part of a group that has improved its depth this year. That's improved its defensive line depth, which is something I think a lot of us as Packer fans have wanted for a while now. Kenny Clark's got some help, right? We've seen the good defenses the last few years across the NFL. They've been known with depth, rotation on the front, keeping them fresh. Green Bay's got that now. So Wyatt, while he might be not playing as many snaps as his fellow Georgia teammate Quay Walker or even Eric Stokes heading into his second year, he's going to be a part of a rotation, and he's going to, Packers are going to have to count on him for being a stud lineman up there. And we saw a glimpse of what he could do in family night. The other one is Jordan Love. And kind of already talked about it, but Jordan Love, from all accounts, the past week or so, he's had good performances. And, I don't want people cheering against Jordan Love. If you're a Packers fan, you shouldn't be cheering against Jordan Love. And yet, there still is. You may not like the pick. I didn't like the pick from 3 years ago. I hated it. I didn't understand it. I want Aaron Rodgers to be the quarterback for as long as he possibly can, as long as he's still, playing at a high level. But there's absolutely zero reason why any Packers fans should be rooting against Jordan Love. The only reason you would be rooting against Jordan Love if you were a Packers fan is to continue to carry this vendetta or to say, ha, told you so, against like Goody or the front office of the Packers. It's the only reason. Jordan Love has done nothing wrong. He didn't choose to go to Green Bay. He's not out there saying, oh, I'm going to beat Aaron Rodgers or I'm better than Aaron Rodgers. He ain't going out there saying stuff like that. He's going out there to try to do his job. And from all accounts, from people who've actually been there, he's looking good so far in the last week. Maybe a little bit of a slow start to camp, but he's been looking good. And whether you want to believe that he's got a future, we don't know that. I don't know that. You don't know that. We kind of look at last year. It's like, ooh, yeah, that's sketchy. But if he's doing well, give the guy props. Because if for some reason he does have to go out there and he does have to play some meaningful snaps this year for the Packers, what are you going to not root for him, not cheer for him? Not go out there and say that, I hope he plays bad. No. I mean, come on. And there's still some people out there saying, Media's just saying he's having good to pipe up his status, or just like, oh, he's not that. Stop it. Okay, just stop. We don't know if Jordan Love's going to turn out to be anybody that's going to have a long, successful NFL career. Odds are he's not going to be able to replicate what Aaron Rodgers did in his career in Green Bay. Odds were against Aaron Rodgers for doing anything similar to what Favre did, but to ask for it to happen again, you might have better luck winning a lottery. Never know, but who knows? But please, Packers fans, I'm begging you. Don't continue to cheer against Jordan Love. Don't continue to cheer for a failed career for the guy just to say, told you so to Goody. And you know what? You probably won't even say it to his face. And you probably will never be able to even have the opportunity to say it to his face. Don't continue to cheer against Jordan. He didn't do anything. I didn't like the pick either. You all know that. I really did not like it. But I'm not going to cheer against the guy. And if he's having a good week, if he's having a good practice, and you know what? He goes out and he balls out for preseason and, maybe lights it up. Maybe he comes into a game in the regular season, plays really well. Hey, maybe then that's good for maybe he's the future starter. Or look at it on this side. Maybe that improves his trade stock if you really don't want him there. Let's pump the brakes on the Jordan Love hate here for a little bit, okay? So, had to get that off the chest there a little bit. But Packers will return to practice coming up this week. I want to throw a question out to you because now that can we call it preseason week? First game on Friday. Should the Packers play Aaron Rodgers at all in the preseason? Should they play their starters at all in the preseason? Matt LaFleur was asked about it last week. And he was asked about it in terms of, remember what happened week 1 last year against the Saints? Like if LaFleur learned anything from that game, or if that game kind of, pushes him to play his starters at least a little bit at some point in the preseason. Kind of non-committal. He's been saying he hasn't talked to Aaron Rodgers about it at all. But now that, we got a game coming up on Friday. Got a game. Do you play these starters at all this preseason? Do you play Aaron Rodgers at all at this preseason? Does it matter? I mean, do you get anything away from, even if it's one series, is it worth it for that one series? How much, if the series only goes 3 plays, did it accomplish anything? So if you are on the side of like, yes, play, I want to know how many. How many series? How many plays? Maybe how many quarters? Or are you the side like, no, if we're going to overreact to a game from last year, no. You can look at maybe the season prior where they took it to the Vikings. They didn't have any preseason games then. That was a COVID year, both teams. And then the counter to that is like, well, both teams were like that too. And you're right. I mean, I don't know if there is ever a right or wrong answer in this. I don't think there is. We've seen examples from different teams and different players from all across the board. But now that we've got a game coming up, West Coast, San Francisco, and we just got 3 of these, one home game next week, maybe that's the one. Hey, selfishly, I would love to see Aaron Rodgers play next week so my kid can see him in person. Okay. Selfishly, Aaron LaFleur, if you're listening right now, you want to play a couple series, I'm good with that, just so my kid can see, Aaron sling it a little bit. But taking the fan part out of it, if we had to put our analyst caps on and we had to, put our, thinking caps on, should Aaron play at all this preseason? And how many reps? How many snaps? If not Aaron, should the other starters play? Hit me up, all right? There's no right or wrong answer in this baby. 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors texting line, okay? Or Twitter, DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports, or on the video stream. So think about it. You've got a couple minutes. But now that it's here, will they play? Will they not play? Or maybe you just stick it to the home game because you're a little bit comfortable with the field conditions. What do you think? I want to direct your attention to our website, sportstalk1051.com, and click on the Nation tab. You're going to see a little icon there that says Armchair Quarterback. If you've got something to say, sports-wise, opinion, record a voice memo, record your voice, get your phone and record yourself making an opinion, upload it, and we'll play it. As long as you don't say any words on there that, we might get in trouble with. Okay, so sportstalk1051.com, click on the Nation. You'll see the Armchair Quarterback. You got to record yourself. You can do video too if you want, if that's easier. Or most phones now, they come with an app for a voice recorder on there. You can record yourself saying, yeah, Josh Hader, the Brewers, or the Packers, or Bucks, Badgers, whatever. Okay, whatever. Record it, upload it. If we like it, we'll play it up. Okay, for Armchair Quarterback segments throughout the week. And while you're there, don't forget to submit your photos for the Tilden Gun brag board, trophy board up there. Having any luck with the fishing season? We got hunting season coming up, so don't forget about the Tilden Gun trophy board. You can check out all the photos on our outdoors page. And you can win some tickets to the Wisconsin Sports Show happening August 26th through the 28th. That's also up there on our website, too. So a couple things to catch up on. We got Surveyor. He's picking John Cena's walkout song as the best. Studs, my Eau Claire American Legion baseball team, who last week battled their way to a third-place finish at the Great Lakes National Regional. And among the final 32 teams still standing in the country. Proud of my guys. Attaboy. Well done, guys, and Coach Mark Faunus. Studs, that our season now comes to an end. Tweets. Big what if. Love is serviceable. We have a top 10 defense. The young receivers turn out to be something, and he ends up with multiple Super Bowls. What then? I guess I'm confused with what exactly is the question. What do you mean, like, what then? Like, I'll tell you, if that happens, my team won a bunch of Super Bowls. I'm happy. You know what I mean? Like, if that scenario played out, that Love is serviceable, they have a top 10 defense, and they end up with multiple Super Bowls, hell yeah! I'm good with that. So I guess I'm a little confused with the part "what then?" question mark. But hey, Green Bay wins a couple Super Bowls. Sign me up, man. And win multiple. Sign me up, man. Do it up. Or are you maybe in terms of like if he finishes more Super Bowls than Aaron? Or I guess I'm just a little confused with the question there. All right, we're approaching the bottom half of the hour here. So preseason week, game 1 Friday, 49ers rematch from the playoffs, right? Yeah, because it's going to be just like that. The question now will be, and I got to imagine leading up to the game, reporters are going to be asking more and more about this to Matt LaFleur or even Aaron and maybe some of the starters. Are the starters going to play? Do you want to play if you're a starter? What do you think? Should they or shouldn't they? I think if they're going to play in the preseason, it's got to be more than a series. I mean, a series might last 3 plays, and it might be all like 3 running plays for crying out loud. The only thing that makes me just a little bit nervous about playing Aaron in the preseason is the offensive line. That's what makes me just a little bit nervous. Because I think it's still a little bit of an unknown. Now, at some point, the counter to that is like, well, that's probably the offensive line that's going to have to, open up week 1 against Minnesota, so get used to it right away. And you're right. You're exactly right. Now, you're going up against Minnesota week 1. Yash is probably going to be the starting left tackle. Right tackle over there, if we look at family night, it was Royce Newman. Inside, John Runyon, Myers, Henson. If we want to look at family night, that was, I think, our first glimpse of what they view as the number 1 depth chart so far. But I think if Aaron plays in the preseason, it's got to be more than just 1 series. It's got to be, I mean, what would you say? If we had to put a snap count on it, let's say snap count instead of series, because the series could go from anywhere like 1 play to 17 or something like that. It's pretty wide range. I think if you're going to put Aaron out there, you at least have to have, I'd say, 10, 12 snaps. Make it worthwhile. I mean, you go out there and he turns around and hands the ball off 3 times and he's done. What did you benefit from that? Did anything benefit from that? I don't think it did. And I understand the arguments for both sides. One hand, you want Aaron out there working with these wide receivers, a little bit of an unknown, right? Of course, he's got the connection with Lazard. He's got it with Cobby. But Sammy Watkins, I'd say his stock is rising a little bit here too. Looks like him and Aaron are getting on the same page here fairly quickly, based off just practice, though. But, going back to the argument to be made for Aaron playing preseason, developing more of that connection with those wideouts like Sammy, Romeo Dubs. Maybe kind of getting into the flow with what his new offensive line is going to look like, at least to begin the season, it sure looks like. Getting into a game groove, I guess, although players have historically said, over the last few years, they get more out of practices than what they do in preseason games, because preseason games, no team's game plan is very generic, whereas in practice, they go through their, call sheets and game plans and all that sort of stuff. But, maybe some people are looking at that game from last year against the Saints and be like, oh, if they would have played preseason, maybe they would have came out a little bit better and not lethargic. For the case to be made not to play, you don't suffer a useless injury. You don't get anything out of it because there is no game planning. I mean, you can make the case for both sides. But if I'm looking at it, next week too, the other factor in this thing is, and maybe it's not that much of a factor, but the Saints are coming to town not only for the preseason game next week, but they're coming in for joint practices too. So would that be a way of, and I know Green Bay's done it since Matt LaFleur's there, so we've got examples of both sides here. Remember Houston a couple years ago, the Jets last year, this year it's the Saints. But, okay, going up against an unfamiliar opponent, would that kind of ease the whole, all right, he doesn't have to play preseason, you went up against a different defense and that sort of thing? Maybe, I don't know. But I feel like if Aaron's going to play in the preseason, it should be next week. One, based purely off me being selfish and wanting to see it for my kiddo going to his first game, seeing Aaron just for a few snaps there. But also I feel like, okay, maybe this game, see how that offense, throw the offensive line out there first. See how they go. See how they react. Jordan Love, you're the sacrificial lamb. I mean, yes, we want you to get a bunch of snaps, and that's the other part in this. Do you want to give more snaps to Jordan Love and keep that train rolling and keep that train developing? But it's also like, hey, we don't want to injure Aaron, but Jordan, have at it. Go out there. But I feel like, okay, first one, get that offensive line, get some of those younger receivers, like a Dubs, their first action, so they get a little bit out of their system. All right, week 2, we'll throw Aaron in there for 10, 12 snaps with you guys, get a little bit of a mojo going. It's on our home turf. Next week, nothing, and we're going into the season. Maybe. I'd get on board with that. But I don't think I want to see the starters in every single preseason game. I don't want to see that. I don't think that's necessary. So I'd be a little bit shocked if I saw Aaron. And, you're going to see some starters playing preseason. We know that. It's just going to happen. It's not going to be, especially now when you look at the running back depth chart, behind Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, they're a little bit banged up. We got Hill still on the pup. You got Taylor kind of came back to practice a little bit, missed out on family night, but he came back to practice yesterday. But I know Matt LaFleur kind of made the comments like, "Yeah, we don't want our AJ and Aaron out there preseason. So, I'd be shocked to see those guys necessarily out there, or, like a Kenny Clark or maybe even a Jair. I'd be surprised. But, you're still going to see some starters out there. We're talking the top of the top starters. I think there's benefits to both sides of playing a little bit or not playing a little bit. And we've seen that from every team. There's no right or wrong answer in this. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. If there was, everybody would be doing it the same way. If there was a foolproof way of how to handle preseason with your starters, every single team would be doing it the exact same way. It's that simple. And they don't. I don't think we'll see Aaron this week. I think the only time we'll maybe see Aaron will be on the 19th next Friday. And watch, I'll be completely wrong, and he'll play this week, and that's about it. But that's just me. If I was LaFleur, that's how I would go about it. Give the offensive line that game against San Fran, get their feet wet a little bit, get those wide receivers their feet wet a little bit. Then the following week, throw in 12 with them. That's how I go about it. We'll see. Your thoughts, you can hit us up with the text 715-830-1912. But from Family Night, in case you missed it, Darnell Savage left the game. I shouldn't say game. Left practice a little bit early. Had some ice on his hamstring. He downplayed it after practice. Matt LaFleur, day later, downplayed it. Rob Demovsky, his sources, downplayed it. No long-term concern with Darnell Savage. Thumbs up right there. But I got to imagine, they're not going to push it. They're going to take it easy with Savage. But it is a big season for Darnell Savage, too. But it's a big regular season. I don't know if they necessarily need him to go out there in preseason and, log some snaps and look good out there in a non-scheme defense. Darnell needs to have a consistent regular season. We've seen great glimpses. We've seen some questionable glimpses. Go back to that Ravens game last year where he struggled in coverage. Packers did pick up the fifth-year option. He ain't going anywhere. But I think Green Bay would like to see, okay, we're 3 years in, heading into your fourth year? Let's see that consistent play now. Let's see that consistent high-level play from our first-round pick. That's why this is a big season for Savage. And he's a part of a secondary group that's got a lot of expectations. On paper, they look like one of the best, if not the best, secondary group in football. When we look at the top five, your safeties, and if we count the nickel corner in there. Amos, Savage, Alexander, Stokes, Rasul Douglas. I think a lot of teams would kill to have a secondary like that. And opposing teams are going to try to find a weakness. Who's the weakness in that secondary? If they're going to attack the Packers defensively, and those are your five. Let's say that's kind of like, let's say a nickel is your base, because pretty much it's your base right now. Who's the weakness one in that? Well, if we saw last year, Savage kind of struggled a little bit covering tight ends. Mark Andrews, Ravens. Teams might exploit that. They might attack that. Speaking of safeties, check out the Hall of Fame induction with Mr. Butler on Saturday. Now, I know they cut it. They told the inductees, you only got 8 minutes. And I understand. A lot of those speeches would just go on and into the night. And it's just like, get to it. And you kind of felt bad for a lot of those, maybe those players there too, waiting their turn. It's like, geez, come on. I want to get my speech over with and done with. But putting 8 minutes under, I get it. I understand why they did it. But I also felt like it took away from the personality of some of these people, like Leroy. Leroy, I think, could have gone on for a little bit longer. Leroy could have told some stories. He could have gotten, a little bit more in depth if he was allowed to. Felt like it was held back a little bit. And that's not Leroy's fault. I'm not criticizing him at all. But kind of criticizing Pro Football Fan. I'm like, I get it. You want to cut it down. Speeches get long. But at the same time, these players are getting inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Pro Football Hall of Fame. So let them go just a little bit, okay? But great to see Butler getting his bust in there. And now we'll find out if maybe Sterling joins him as senior committee or maybe Mike Holmgren. But those are probably the next, or at least in terms of like who are eligible right now. But those are the two that have the best chances until Aaron Rodgers officially hangs them up, and then just the countdown's on. So, that's like, and I get it, like Hall of Fame, they have the 5-year thing, but it's like, when there's like for sure's, like whenever Tom Brady hangs it up, and I get it, it's like, well, he came back. Yeah, I get it. I think they just got to cut it down after 5. I mean, make it 2 years or something like that. When you got for sure's on that whole thing, you necessarily have to wait 5 years. We do the 2. Get it in, get it done with. Because there's not going to be a debate when Brady's in there. It's not going to be a debate when Rodgers goes up there. Let's cut it down. All right. Let's take a quick break. And I've got some breaking news involving the golf outing. The Kasper Classic. That's coming up after this quick break.
You're listening to the Dan Kasper Show.
Guys, maybe you've gained a little extra weight, or you're feeling tired at the end of the day. Maybe it's time to prioritize your health and fitness with M-Drive, supplements for driven guys. Try the best-selling M-Drive Boost and Burn today, only $5. MDriveDan.com, made with clinically tested ingredients that support weight loss and energy. Visit MDriveDan.com. First 2 weeks of M-Drive, $5 free shipping. Get more energy, fat burning, and strength. MDriveDan.com. And make sure you tell them we sent you.
Do you remember the countless times when you were young and playing in the backyard, daydreaming of playing against or with your favorite athlete, or imagining yourself chasing your dreams and experiencing life the way you're supposed to? That's how we came up with a name for Backyard Dreams. Backyard Dreams is WAYY Sports Talk 105.1 790 AM's charitable entity. We have 5 main goals for Backyard Dreams: to provide and promote opportunities for anyone to have a chance to play, to help anyone overcome obstacles to chase their dreams, to help raise awareness for those in need, to help create opportunities for those to enjoy their passions, and to help those enjoy their life and create special memories. It doesn't matter if you are a child, teen, or an adult. Backyard Dreams wants to help anyone. For more information, success stories about Backyard Dreams, and if you know someone who could benefit from Backyard Dreams, just visit sportstalk1051.com and click on the Backyard Dreams tab. I know it's summer, and the last thing you're probably thinking about right now is the fall and winter months. But if you're a hunter, those months are always on your mind. Right now, you're scouting and game planning for the next hunting season. Deer, duck, turkey, bear. You're checking those trail cameras and getting those food plots ready. But while you focus on that part of your preparation for the next hunting season, don't forget about your gear, specifically that hunting rifle or shotgun. If Yeah, no video stream tomorrow because I don't trust my internet at home. I'll just be honest with you. But to have all that stuff running at once. But we're going to be doing a show from my man cave tomorrow morning. You can still text, tweet, Facebook, all that good stuff. Okay. Texter asking, hey Dan, regarding preseason, what are the cut down dates that may factor in as to when the starters will play more? Well, if you remember, was it a year ago, a couple years ago, they changed the cut down in terms of how many players, because it used to be like, big bunches here and there, but now it's just 5 at a time until that final one. So it's the Tuesdays. August 16th is the first cut down, 90 to 85. And then the 23rd, 85 to 80. So they're going into that final preseason game with still 80 players on their roster. Still 80 players on their roster. Was that last year? It might have been a couple years ago when they changed that already. So, but that's kind of your cut downs. And then on the 30th is when they got to get down to their 53. Which, I mean, remember, it used to always be like the Saturday of Labor Day weekend. And just kind of sitting there Labor Day. I remember how many times at a softball tournament or something, I'm like refreshing my phone and like checking out the updates and that sort of stuff. So, all right, let's cover the bases here this morning. So we talked a lot about the Brewers. I would say the majority of you, if we're doing the steak thing, okay, we're doing the whole steak doneness chart. That was our question throughout the morning. How would you describe the current state of the Brewers right now in terms of steak doneness? Rare, medium, well done? I would say probably, but like medium well. If I had to add all of them up and kind of come up with one, I'd probably say medium well. So it's trending towards where, if we got that little barometer, we got that little, that dial there. It's probably like towards like a lot of you are starting to kind of lose some faith in the Brewers. They're starting to maybe check out a little bit. They're like, stick that fork in there. So that's where I'd have to gauge it. Kind of looking at all the responses out there. It's about medium well. About medium well for a lot of you. Brewers have the off day today. Maybe that's what they need. Get away from it all. Regroup. You got 2 games coming up with Tampa starting tomorrow at home. Then you got a quick road trip for the weekend to the Arches in St. Louis. Then you return home for 4 games against the Dodgers. St. Louis and the Dodgers are playing some fantastic baseball right now. So it is going to be a big-time test for the Brewers coming up here. But it's also going to make it that much sweeter if the Brewers win those series, right? Right. Let's stay positive. Let's try to stay positive. Whew. I hope so. We kind of went through the standings really quickly in the first hour, but you got 54 games left to go here in the regular season for the Brewers. I don't know about you guys, but I'm scoreboard watching. I mean, now Brewers are down, 2 back from the Cardinals for first place in the division. So yeah, you're doing a little bit of scoreboard watching here. But when you kind of look at it, not a whole lot has changed. I mean, obviously, besides the NL Central and such, Yankees still up first. Although Blue Jays got it to under 10 games, they're 9.5 back from the Yankees. Minnesota's still holding on. 1 game ahead of Cleveland. White Sox 2 back. Houston still up 11 on Seattle. The Mets had a great weekend, too, taking care of business against Atlanta. They've improved their gap to 6.5. We mentioned St. Louis, Milwaukee. Dodgers, they took it to the Padres, the newly looked Padres. They're hot right now, winners of their last 8, 9, and 1. They're up 15.5 on the Padres. 15.5. Cardinals 9 and 1 in their last 10. They're also on a 7-game winning streak. And Philadelphia 9 and 1 in their last 10. They have won 5 in a row. And that's when you look at the The wild card right now got Philly that has put themselves into that conversation. Because right now the Brewers are outside the postseason. Playoffs start today. We're going to start using that phrase already. Postseason started today. Brewers are on the outside. They're 1.5 back from a wild card. 2 back from the division, 1.5 back from a wild card. Atlanta, Philly, San Diego. Those are your wild card teams right now. San Diego's 61-50. They're the last wild card team. Brewers 58-50. In terms of the American League, Toronto, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Baltimore, 7-3 in their last 10. They're not going away, people. The Baltimore Orioles are not going away. They're 2 games back from a wild card, okay? Let's keep the faith. They got a big series with Toronto coming up. Seattle Yankees, whew. That's going to be a big series too. Wow. In terms of Seattle trying to hold on to a wild card. Cleveland 2 back, White Sox 3 back, Boston 5 back, all from a wild card spot. All right. Other stuff. There was a report, if Packers fans are still hoping that the team acquires a veteran wide receiver at some point. Odell Beckham Jr., there's a report that some contending teams have shown interest in Odell Beckham Jr., that he's receiving some teams out there. The Rams have stayed in contact. Obviously, kind of that's kind of an obvious one. But Ian Rappaport mentioned the Green Bay Packers as a team that is still in the mix, in addition with the Rams. So we'll see. But Ian Rappaport said that he's still recovering, not expected to be ready for at least the first half of the season. And that's why I feel like it doesn't do any service for Odell to sign now, because he might have more teams to pick from halfway through the season. Maybe price goes up a little bit more. Team's a little bit more desperate. So this doesn't make sense for him to sign right now. Wait. Might have more of an option, more choosings, more pickings. Maybe something happens with somebody in Tampa. And he's like, oh, I'll hitch my wagon to Tom Brady too and go down there. You don't know. But Ian Rappaport thinks Green Bay's still in the mix. I don't know. I'm starting to kind of like, we'll see. I think Green Bay wants to open the season with what they got and see what happens. See how it turns out. That's my gut. How I feel it playing out. But I don't know. Could be completely wrong. So tomorrow will be a Grind My Gears Tuesday. Think about that for a little bit. Got about 21 hours or so to think about what makes your list for Grind My Gears Tuesday. You can text those babies on over starting tomorrow, or Twitter it, Facebook it. We'll take a look at what you got all to say there. We'll look ahead to this 2-game series with the Tampa Bay Rays. Just how big of a stretch of games coming up in these next couple weeks is it for the Brewers and for the Brewers season? Tampa, St. Louis, Dodgers, Cubs, Dodgers. 15 games in 16 days. And have 1 off days right away after the 2-game series against Tampa. Just how big is this? A season-defining stretch for the Brewers, or is it still too early to say that? Okay, we'll discuss that in a little bit more detail tomorrow too. We'll take a look at that. Last call too. We're still looking for a few more teams for our 3rd fantasy football league. So if you want in, you have to text me your email. We're still going over logistics and that, but it will be an online draft. Maybe we'll get together somewhere and do it too. But yeah, it'll be an online sort of thing, because I don't want to limit it to. I want to get as many people, as many listeners as we possibly can. If they can't do it in person, I don't want to penalize them for that. So, but maybe we'll get together and still do it somewhere, on our laptops and that sort of thing too. Working on the logistics. But if you want in on our fantasy football league, text me your email. I'll send you the link to register. And if you texted me your email Friday, make sure you're checking your emails because a couple of you that I sent the links to, you haven't registered yet. So I'll give you a couple more days. Otherwise, you're going to lose your spot. Okay. But we got a couple more openings. If you want in, text it. Doesn't cost you anything. For fun. You just got to deal with some trash talking. Possibly by or from Surveyor Sam. DP and the Danuts, they're up next. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day. We will talk to you tomorrow from the Man Cave. Have a good one. See you then.
You're listening to the Dan Patrick Show on WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1.
You're out, you're about, but you want your Dan Patrick. Well, good news.